Oh, Haley, hi. How you doing? Thank you so much for submitting. Um, you're looking good. Really good setup. Now, there's a few things we have to address here. So let me just start from the top. Okay. So, I think that one of the problems that I'm seeing is that this illustration here, for example, it doesn't have a whole lot of contrast in the hair or in the facial area. Now, I know this is a work in progress, but I just want to kind of remind you of contrast and how important contrast is. And one of the phenomenon that I'm seeing here is that it seems like this really has a lack of contrast. And I think one of the reasons is that you're staying monochromatic within the facial characteristics and the highlights in the hair. So you're monochromatic in your depiction of a lot of these hues, and especially right through here and here. This is the same color as the highlights in her hair. So it kind of restricts the contrast because it's just not as dark as it should be right through here. And I think that one of the reasons is because you are doing that. You're trying to adhere to the color palette that you have established. So remember contrast. Now here, for example, there's a lot more contrast through the eyes, and that's simply because, again, you have used the shadow areas, the same hue as the hair to create the shadow area. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not sure if that's the best technique to establish good, solid, consistent hierarchy. I'm sorry, contrast, which of course will develop hierarchy. But so you need a good, solid contrast, and we're seeing it in areas where this is areas darker in the depiction of the shadow areas because you're using the same color as the hair. Whereas if you use that technique here, her hair is much lighter, indicating that her shadow areas will be much lighter, indicating a real lack of contrast. Okay, and we can see the same thing over here, though we're not seeing any hair attributes in the shadow areas. It's definitely brown, but it's a darker depiction of those shadows than we see up here. Okay, so without telling you exactly what to do, I would suggest that you take the contrast, pump up the contrast a little bit in all of these illustrations. Not so much this one, but that brings me to my next point, which is I want to talk about consistency in skin tone and presentation. So, first of all, consistency in presentation. Now, you've heard me say several times last week and this week that it's very important to establish consistency by really taking a look at how the space is associated with its visual plane. So in other words, how are each one of these going to sit inside of the stamp? And it looks right now that the first two might be consistent. As a matter of fact, not even quite fully consistent, but the third is not. What do I mean? I mean that each of your subjects in this stamp series should be depicted in a way that each one looks like they're the same distance from the focal plane. Okay, so if you're shooting these, or if you're standing in front of these illustrations, this subject, it should be the same distance from the focal plane. This example, this example, and this example. Now, this one is clearly going to be a little closer because it just looks like it's cropped closer, right? So it's going to appear to take up more space in the face area. It's going to take more space in that stamp than this one, where you're going to have to theoretically can leave room for the upper body and torso. Okay, why am I saying this, Haley? I'm saying this because in your presentation, remember to be consistent. So if the stamp is this area right here, make sure that that spatial relationship maintains consistency throughout all four illustrations. So you don't have one stamp where you have a close-up of the face, and then the next one you have the face, upper shoulders, and all the way including the upper chest. Do you see what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. It's really important for the consistency of the series, so let me know if I need to clarify that. Another thing I want to talk about in terms of consistency is skin tones. So sure, when we illustrate these one at a time, we take a look at them, we say, okay, all is well. You may even be sampling skin tones from the photograph. I'm not sure what technique you're using, but the caveat here is that this is going to be a series. These four stamps are going to be viewed right next to each other. So that now skin tone becomes an issue because you've got to maintain some sort of consistent presentation, right? So these are things I want you to think about moving forward. So really definitely put these next to each other. Take a look at the skin tone and try to find, okay, this is really pink, for example. This is more brown, and this is a little more yellow. So we really have to find a happy kind of a medium there. Good depiction of stuff, good depictions of highlight here, good details. I think you're doing a really good job so far. I'm just saying fine tuning, and that's where we need to be. Just really start fine tuning. You're going to find that these are going to really, really take on a whole new visual perspective once you start adding highlights to the hair area and some of where some of the shadows would lie, which you've started already. You've done a great job, but we still need to push that technique a little further. But these are just really fantastic. So again, consistency. Not sure why this is white right here. Another thing, it seems like those eyes are really tiny behind those glasses. So check your relationships there. If that's kind of that illusion that we see on the side of a glass. I would just definitely, it looks like a mistake there. So try to address that. All right, so those are my comments. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Or if you want to run anything by me this week, feel free, have at it. I'll be glad to provide additional comments. All right, good job. Thank you very much.